Namaste, friends. My name is Jitendra, and it's a joy to be with you and sharing on this topic, tuning into God as the doer. And this is a very important topic for our life as yogis. And all of us who are together today tuning into this video, we all at some point in our life heard the inner call of our soul, which that inner call that we listened to and then acted on, really that call was to guide us from living an ordinary life to an extraordinary life. And what does that mean? What is the extraordinary life? Well, that is the spiritual life. It is the spiritual path. It is living life as a yogi. And this very much relates to today's topic, this topic of tuning into God as the doer, because we have arrived at this point in our life of readiness to take our next step toward liberation, toward freedom, to living in that constancy of bliss. And so we want to become ever increasingly aware of this presence of bliss, of light, of love, of joy, infusing our practice, infusing our service, infusing our, introspection. And so the good news here is that God is the doer. There's nothing that we would be able to do unless God is flowing through us, animating our life. When we're engaged in karma yoga, as we're engaged in action, which we're all every day are called to act. And so concentration is important for us, to concentrate on the thought of God. We can be doing things. We can be washing dishes. We can be cleaning tables. We can be raking leaves, whatever it is. But our mind can also always be fixed on God. Now, there are moments that we lose sight of God because we look away. We look down for a moment. But that's also should be programmed within you, that as soon as you lose contact with God, to engage in using your willpower to seek God inwardly. And once you feel any of the 8 aspects of God, or you just feel that inner peace, calmness, fix your mind there, and then go forth in your required action. And this is what in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna, be thou a yogi, Arjuna. And this is the life of a yogi. So concentration. Also, one other point that I wanted to bring up is nishkaram karma. To always remember in our meditation practice, in our service, in our study, everything that we do, remember nishkaram karma, action without desire for fruits of your action. Again, everything we try to do on the spiritual path is to take that sense of I and expand it into a greater awareness from the center of our own being. And so, action without the desire for fruits of your action, to enter into your meditation in an act of devotional self-offering, of an opportunity to offer your love to God unconditionally, not seeking any experience, not seeking any result. Now, the good news is as we offer ourselves in this way, God responds. And we are filled with His joy. We are filled with that which we're seeking, because God's not a tyrant. God wants to fulfill our every desire. But that's also one of the points that we have to remember, is if our desire is fixed and concentrated on God, then we will feel that flow of grace flowing and animating our life. But as soon as we get distracted, we feel that sense of I that blocks and creates that sense of separateness. But in fact, we are never separate from God. And so let's remember, as we are asked to serve, as we are asked to dive deeper in our sadhana, to offer everything back to God and to feel that sense of contentment that whatever you are doing, Whether it's speaking in front of an audience of 5,000 people, sharing the teachings, or you're washing dishes, or you're, making sandwiches, or whatever it is, as we refine our attitude and approach that which we're doing with a sense of contentment and knowing that God Himself, Divine Mother, has asked us to do that which is in front of us. And Yogananda said even just the thought of pleasing God draws His grace, draws His energy, and fills you with more energy, and will allow you to do more. But if we're approaching it in the sense of I, me, mine, that I'm meditating, I'm serving, then it becomes work. And we're going to feel the result of that. So our sadhana becomes a struggle. Our service becomes too much. Life becomes too much. And let's face it, life is too much. But that's why our souls, our hearts are calling for us to be in God, to live in God, to rest in God, and to rejoice in God. And so let's remember, friends, that every moment that we can, let's pull our mind back to seeking God, find whatever point of reference that we can find within us, and then try to fix your concentration there and call to the divine to flow through you. And in this way, you'll feel this sense of rejuvenation, and also it will enliven your sense of inspirational search for God. And I just want to close with this invitation that for this week, one way we can put this into practice is try to identify at 3 different levels your level of engagement in remembering God, remembering to tune into God as the doer. So first level is identify 1 or 2 things that you have as a routine throughout the week. Identify 1 or 2 things that you are asked to do that are a higher level, that requires a higher level of engagement of your energy, of your mind, of your heart. Now in that, so identify that which you want to practice with, and then what to do is before you engage in that act, whether to be sadhana in your service or if you're studying or absorbing the teachings in any way, stop, collaborate, and listen. This is a rap song when I grew up. You may recognize, some of you may recognize the artist of that. Stop, collaborate, and listen. So remember this. So stop before you engage in the activity. Collaborate with God. So offer a prayer. You can use this prayer, Lord, I will reason, will, and act, but guide thou my reason, will, and activity to the right path in everything. You can just call on the Lord and speak in the language of your own heart to flow through you, to help you become more increasingly aware of God as the doer. So pray, and then fix your gaze here at the point between the eyebrows, and tune in there, fix your concentration there. And then from this point, feel that you're acting from this point at the point between the eyebrows as you engage in your service. And keep the mind anchored in whatever aspect of God that you feel in that moment. And then the second level is identify a second level of activity that you are asked to do each week. You can choose 1 or 2 things. And in that, identify as this second level as less intense, so a less engagement of the mind, heart, and body. So for example, those things like brushing your teeth or taking a shower, tying your shoes, the millions of options that we have to choose from. In that second tier, practice japa. So every time you engage in that activity, and also it could be in your meditation as well, but in there, use japa. Consciously use your willpower to fix your mind, Fix your heart on God through japa. Om Guru, Om Guru. We're just chanting Om, Om. And then what you're doing is you're beginning to shift that identification with the soul to the body into the light, into God. And then the third level is that at least once a day, just if you have free time or whatever you're doing, just stop and listen and feel. Now, I'm not going to fill in any blanks other than that, but just consciously every day, we're always moving. There's always energy moving in our life. So just consciously, at least once every day, whether it be 5 seconds, 1 minute, 30 seconds, don't put too many rules on this, but just stop and listen. And try to listen for Divine Mother's voice, speaking through the silence, speaking through the wind, speaking through friends, through anything. And practice this every day for this week. And then keep tuning into this power, this love, this grace that is animating your life and is its desire. God's desire is only one, which is to free you, to fill you with His love, to fill you with His grace. And so let us allow God to take charge of our life and to guide us. And I wish you the deepest joy and blessings and an open heart as you and I walk this path together. So many, many blessings to you. And thank you, dear friends.